There's a lot of conversation and innovation in terms of framing out and building the business case for permanently installed leak monitoring.
Hey there, welcome back to Water Finance and Management Conversations. I'm your host, Andrew Farr, Managing Editor of Water Finance and Management. Looking forward to today's discussion. On our previous couple episodes, we've focused on some wide-ranging industry challenges, and today we're going to get a little bit more specific and focus in on leak monitoring. So we're going to spend a couple minutes talking about why this is such an important task for water utilities, and then we're going to get into return on investment when we talk about leak monitoring tools. And joining me on today's episode, I have Paul Murray, Senior Product Manager at Mueller. Paul, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Andrew. Really good to be with you.
Paul, maybe we can start with what is trending right now in the area of leak monitoring. And if not leak monitoring specifically, then maybe we could talk a little just broader water in the realm of water loss, specifically talking about those real losses. What are some recurring challenges that you're perhaps seeing with different utilities? Any notable trends going on in the industry in that area that we could kind of set the table with?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Great question. I'll take it from the leak monitoring perspective, right? Because you've got a lot of innovation in the industry. I want to say there's like 8 or 9 entrants and folks who are bringing forth digital technology solutions into the leakage monitoring space. What we're seeing in 2022 as the trend amongst kind of the leaders in this space is anything they can do to deliver better alerts. And this means reducing the number of false alarms without missing any leaks at the same time. And then going further to add more quality and detail to each of those alerts. Is it a small leak? Is it a medium leak? Is it a big leak? Is it a service leak? Is it a main leak? All this added information that can help utilities design and implement better workflows to drive efficiency in their operations and deliver better customer outcomes. And another thing that kind of sticks with me as we watch this trend is it's really a signal of maturity throughout the whole industry. The last 2 big challenges that we all went through were what I would broadly call detection and scale. And detection being, how can we use permanently installed acoustic sensors in the water network to find leaks as they happen, as they're emerging. And then scale being that next piece, ensuring the hardware is reliable enough, ensuring the software architecture is ready for scale, and that the communication system is right to deploy thousands of sensors and monitor, thousands of miles of pipe and deal with that data flood on a daily basis.
So then let's talk a little bit about, you're obviously detailing some of the advancements. Let's talk about return on investment then. So I want to know what is driving utilities to adopt these technologies. We know, a lot aging infrastructure continues to be a huge challenge. But it seems like adoption has really been evolving across the board in the water sector for, the last 5-10 years, however you want to frame it. But what's kind of evolving about the way utilities are adopting leak monitoring solutions today?
There's a lot of conversation and innovation in terms of framing out and building the business case for permanently installed leak monitoring. I live in Toronto. We're right next to Lake Ontario, and the variable cost of production for 1 million gallons of water, call it around $400, right? So, if you're the city of Toronto and you're looking at how big do I want to go with permanent monitoring, how fast do I really need to find these leaks, it's tough to make that business case on the variable cost of production alone. And this is where a lot of new tools and innovation around AI, leak targeting, leak prediction, going, hey, Toronto, this is going to be the leakiest part of your network. And we know that 80% of your leaks are going to show up in this 20% of your network. That helps them understand better where this technology is going to offer the most value to them. And then also layering in consequence of failure. Every city, Toronto included, has had those leaks that knock out a really critical transportation bridge, take down the subway transportation system downtown. Being able to model that in ahead of time and then build a business case that speaks to customer value and mitigating, preventing those impacts to customers is important to a city like Toronto. And I'll contrast that to even going 100 miles up the road to York Region, which buys wholesale water from the city of Toronto at about 3 times the cost of Toronto's variable cost of production. So $1,200 million gallon instead of 400. York Region's incentives, same water, same supply, very different. York Region might want to build out their system a little bit more. They're going to see a lot more return from finding those leaks early.
So let's get a little bit into what Mueller is working on in this space. Talk to us a little bit about kind of what you're working on, and I guess how you see that as being a little bit unique, compared to what else is going on in the industry.
Yeah, thanks. So in 2014, Ecologics, a division of Mueller, built out and launched the EchoShore system, right? So this is a fire hydrant mounted leak sensor and solution, along with the analytics and user interface to deliver those leak alerts to a user. And what's different about the system is this is a really rugged piece of technology. It's based up on the hydrant. And when you compare it to other folks in the market, typically valve-based solutions, this thing will stand the test of time. It's built directly into the fire hydrant, and that comes with safety benefits as folks are installing, maintaining the system. And again, I'll come back to Toronto. It snows here, it feels like 8, 9, 10 months of the year. So it's not that bad. So this is going to help us get up out of the snowpack, away from the rain, and ensure that the whole system communicates reliably every day. We are just now also launching our below ground solutions as well. So this would be a valve-based solution, and the ability to mix these different sensor types together in order to achieve optimal coverage for a client is a real differentiator for Mueller, along with the alerts. So every one of our leak alerts that's delivered to a client is based on proprietary AI algorithms that's pulling in and analyzing over 190 different facets of the sound file that's transmitted and backhauled to our head-end system every single night. The leak alerts we're delivering 3/4 of the time, they are actually a leak out there in the network, and we're finding 97% of the leaks on the pipelines that we're monitoring.
Let's go back. I mentioned return on investment a little bit earlier before, and so let's get into that a little bit more, because it's one thing that's interesting to me is these things you're talking about, where leakage monitoring and using sensors to kind of keep an eye on what's happening within the distribution system. I guess there was a point in time where you wouldn't think of these sort of tools and these sorts of solutions as being so closely connected to revenue or capital planning down the line. Tell me a little bit about the impact that these types of leak monitoring solutions ultimately have on operating expenditures or capital expenditures. How has that been changing? And again, like I said, how do these tools really impact future capital planning then?
Yeah, so, and this is back to kind of that creative solutioning and designing a business case that fits for the variable utility needs and drivers that we're seeing out there. On the OpEx side of things, like we've seen that shift from solutions that are the payback is entirely based on variable cost of production. How much water can I save? What was the cost to produce it? And that'll drive a return, right? Now we're seeing folks layer on other metrics into that. If I can see all the leaks in my network and plan my crew time so that they're repairing more leaks every single day and driving crew efficiency, how does that flow into my solution? If I'm able to get ahead of my customer service alerting and reduce the amount of time that we're spending talking to both customers as well as politicians and other members of the kind of municipal community, how does that drive my bottom line? And then, the corollary of that on the CapEx side of things is we've talked a lot about the Northeast, East, kind of water rich parts of the country where I'm from. If you get into California, get into the West Coast, folks are dealing with water scarcity. That's very real. And they're making investments around that, both in terms of water conservation programs that are going into the community, into end users' homes, as well as water reuse programs, right? So if you start to compare the leak monitoring technology, not to the variable cost of production, but to the cost of CapEx investments made in these other reuse and conservation areas, the payback looks even more attractive than on the variable cost of production level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, different water challenges in different regions. I mean, you mentioned California and out west, we're seeing drought again. So, all the more reason why these tools are going to be, as important as ever. I know, as I mentioned, leak detection, water loss. This is, obviously one of the most important tasks that utilities, perform regularly. So, I'm sure we could talk a lot more about this, Paul. And it's again, like I said, it's interesting to see how it is connected to the financial side of things and the revenue side of things. And it's been great chatting with you for a couple minutes about this. Appreciate you taking some time to join me today.
Appreciate your time as always. Great to chat, Andrew.
And we'll leave it right there. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Water Finance and Management Conversations. We'll see you next time.